Hey YouTube, right here. This is in a reply to Walej. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. I don't know. Walej. Um, uh, they left a couple comments on my video about simps shaming MGTOW, and sorry about the hair and all that. I just woke up. I wanted to go ahead and get this reply out in a timely manner. Haven't taken my shower yet. Still a little early in the morning, and it's a little on the colder side, so I don't want to fucking mess with that at this point. I'll wait until the day heats up a little bit more, and then I'll take my shower. But, anywho. To one of your comments where you were asking, what simps are saying to MGTOW, trying to, get us to stop and that sort of thing. It's now, as far as the whole, you shouldn't call women whores all the time. There are some MGTOWs that just are always referring to women as whores, they use the terms synonymously. They use them interchangeably. So I'm not one of those ones. Now, there is a specific classification of woman that is a whore, and I'm not talking about necessarily the sex workers. I actually have more respect for the sex workers than I do for women that go out and are gold diggers, or go out and, after being bought a couple of drinks, going home and spreading her legs for a guy, that sort of thing. And then bitching and complaining that she can't find a good guy. It's all like, well, guess what? We the good guys, quote unquote, don't exactly want, sloppy, 200s, where good guys tend to be fairly rare, according to women. So at that point, that means, increased value. That means they're not wanting, used, ran through, fucked up merchandise. So, just putting that out there. Now, I'm not one of those ones that constantly refers to all women as whores. I'm not one of those. But the thing is a lot of people will sit there, see a couple of the more prominent MGTOWs sitting there and constantly saying that. And you know what? They're welcome to their opinion. But the thing is also don't sit there and say that all MGTOWs do that. In fact, there's a lot of very chill MGTOWs that the only reason why they're MGTOWs is because they're wanting to protect themselves. They're wanting to protect their assets. They're wanting to protect everything else that comes along with the risk of going after a woman. So, yeah, they're not necessarily saying that women are whores, but they do recognize female nature as, them being more of a, like, their way of gathering resources is going after a guy that has resources. To a degree, that is the definition of a whore. It's basically they're using their sexuality to get stuff. I don't fully push it that far. If I sit there and I call a woman a whore, it's because she's been... I use whore and gold digger synonymously. I use those two interchangeably. But the thing is even if you're not one of those MGTOWs that constantly calls women whores, people will still tell you that you need to stop doing it. And it's all like, okay, I don't. So, whatever. Move along. But what I mean by them trying to stop MGTOW, trying to, shame MGTOW and that sort of thing, is saying, oh, well, you're not a real man. Oh, you need to grow up. Oh, you need to do this. You need to do that. It's all like, motherfucker, this is the exact reason why I fucking went MGTOW. Stop telling me what to do with my fucking life. I'm not telling you what to do with your life. I'm sitting there and bringing up a few problems that have happened with fucking society, and, you know, how it's not exactly safe for a guy to get married anymore. The law is not in your favor. Prove me wrong. Please. It's an uphill battle if you're going to try to prove me wrong on that. Hell, just in basic social interactions, the law is not on your favor. Society, sure as fuck, isn't in your favor. Because, yeah, your closest friends may have your back, but that's a maybe. When it comes down to a rape threat, only your closest of closest friends are going to go to war for you on that. Hell, there are guys who have been disowned by their family, disowned by their friends, fired from their job. All these different things based off of a false allegation. Or based off of a fucking marriage that has gone horribly fucking wrong. Guys have had their lives absolutely wrecked. Beyond repair. And in some cases have been driven to suicide over the shit. Because they saw no other way out. So, MGTOWs look at that and go, yeah, no. Because we look around and we see it all over the fucking place. Doesn't matter what culture you're in. At least in Western cultures. Eastern cultures, but they're starting to shudder and teeter. So, that's the reason why you have, like, the herbivore men movement over in Japan. Perfect example. They saw that shit going down. They saw that they were getting the raw end of the stick. And they're all like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just not going to grab the stick. I'm going that way. Bye. And the thing is I'm talking about the simps. I mean, I expect women to go after guys at that point. I fully expect them because their resources are going bye-bye. So, I expect that, but I just don't get the simps. And I think I kind of covered that in my video, so I'm not going to retread that. Now, as far as the censorship, I'm not talking about YouTube. I am talking about society as a whole. Just like with MRAs. They're trying to silence MRAs. They're trying to deplatform MRAs. Well, the thing is MGTOW is considered something completely different from the MRA movement. And it should be, because MGTOWs aren't trying to fix the problem anymore. MGTOWs are going, you know what? This is too fucked up. The system's so fucking broken. Fixing it isn't worthwhile. Just leave it. Don't take part. And some people think that that's a defeatist attitude. No, it's a smart attitude. Figure it this way. If you have yourself a car, and you decide that you want to see how much it's going to cost to get this car up and running. Because this car's got a lot of fucking problems. You take it in. Let's say it's one of those cars that's valued at, I don't know. Let's say the car itself is valued at $5,000. And you're told that the repairs and everything necessary to get it back up and running is $20,000. Are you really going to sink $20,000 into that fucking car unless it's a classic? Hell, even if it is a classic. Most people will say no. I mean, yeah, you've got the people that sit there and go, oh, well, this car has sentimental value. and they'll go ahead and try to fix it. But anyone who's worked on vehicles, and I'm not an expert on this, but even I know this. With a vehicle, once a part goes bad, and you have to replace it, I'm talking about a mechanical part, not necessarily an electric part, but a mechanical part, like a drive shaft or, a piston in the engine, something like that. Once you get that replaced, well, now it's functioning at full capacity. The other parts are not. So that puts more stress, not only on the new part, but also onto the old parts. So then the old parts go down faster. So then you have to just start sinking more and more and more money in. Really fucking sucks. It becomes a money pit. Much like women. And so, you get rid of the car. That is if you want to save yourself money. That is if you want to save yourself headache. You want to save yourself hassle, and you want to save yourself time. Well, that's what MGTOW's doing. We're not fixing the car. The MRAs are the ones that want to sit there and try to fix the car. If they succeed, fine. Got nothing against MRAs. In fact, a lot of people say they have a hard time telling whether or not I'm an MRA or a MGTOW. Honestly, I'm both. I don't think that the system should be 100% abandoned, but that there is way too much work that needs to be done. And I'm not willing to fucking fund that. I'm not willing to go ahead and bleed for that. Because the thing is, I'm not the one who fucked up the system. And now you're seeing this big push from a lot of women of going back to traditionalism. Yeah, good luck with that, ladies. Because the thing is the only way you can get back to traditionalism is by giving up all of that, all of those privileges that you've been given. Because the thing is what men are complaining about isn't necessarily, it isn't necessarily that you have the freedoms that you have. What it is it's that you have all these freedoms without any of the responsibilities. And a lot of women are all like, well, what are you talking about? And it's all like, well, the biggest one that people love to tout is the whole draft thing. Me, I think that's more of a token gesture. Even if women were signed up for the draft, that's not going to fix it. It's not that simple. We're talking about like, oh, well, a woman can be fully financially independent. She can go out, earn her own money, and that sort of thing. I got no problems with that. But here's the thing. Now that women have that capability, stop giving them preferential treatment when it comes to aid. You've also got people arguing both ways as far as custody is concerned. You have them arguing that women shouldn't be viewed as the primary caregiver, so that way it doesn't negatively affect their career path. Yet at the same time, when it comes down to custody, women are given custody majority of the time because they are viewed as being a natural caregiver. Even though the statistics aren't really bearing that one out. You're still practicing the Duluth model, which says men perpetrator, woman victim. Period. End of story. Well, that leads to some really fucked up laws now, doesn't it? And we're seeing them. People argued against the Duluth model at the very beginning, and they were shouted down. They were shamed. They were ostracized from society. And all of a sudden, they were fucking right. funny how the people who tend to be right within the last, 50 to 60 years, it's funny how the ones that were right about where this all was heading were the ones that were shouted down, were the ones that were bullied out of the system, ostracized, physically attacked, character assassinations, everything. Everything under the sun. Think of the worst way that you can treat a person. That's what happened to these people. Well, it's also happening to MGTOW. And I'm going to tell you right now, MGTOW are right. You want to know how I know MGTOW is right? No, it's not because I'm a MGTOW. In fact, I've been a MGTOW for a very short amount of time. But the reason why I'm now a MGTOW is because they're able to point to situation after situation after situation after situation. And I'm not talking about on a micro scale. I'm talking on macro scale. They're able to point to culture after culture after culture after culture. And it's the same goddamn story every fucking time. And the reaction to MGTOW is always the fucking same. Oh, you need to learn to be a man. You need to man up. You need to learn to let it roll off your back. You need to take one for the fucking team. So on, so forth. That is what I mean by censorship of MGTOW. It's censorship by way of dismissal. Not even listening to what is being said. Only time people listen to what MGTOW say is to listen for one or two fucking words. Like what you said here. Maybe you shouldn't call every woman a whore. Well, maybe women shouldn't call every man a rapist. Maybe women shouldn't call every man a fucking predator. A creeper. An abusive pile of shit. The list goes on, but I digress. So if you're going to go ahead and paint with a broad brush, I can do that too. Except I have a lot more paint. And don't take this as a personal attack, because it's not. You're not alone in your way of thinking. You're not. But you're also not going to change my mind with small platitudes. You're not going to change my mind by sitting there and conflating something. So if that is your goal, you're going to fail at it. You have a lot of ground to make up. You have to start disproving all of these statistics. But the thing is it's going to be hard for you to do. Because I'm willing to go ahead and look at the statistics that you bring up. But if they come from somewhere like the Southern Poverty Law Center, yeah, I'm not going to trust those statistics. Because, I'm sorry, anywhere that sat there and said, well, Pepe is a hate symbol, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on pretty much any opinion they fucking hold. Because at that point, and now if they say something that does make sense, I'll look into it, and if it's actually factually based, yeah, I'll go ahead and say, alright, they were right on this one thing. But I'm going to start from a very critical perspective. And, there's some people that are all like, well, science is primarily men, so it's going to be biased. No, science is one of those awesome fucking things that was sitting there and actually looking to find truth before feminism got its grubby little fucking claws into it. And now, all of a sudden, since social justice and feminism have gotten involved in science, now we have to start even questioning that. We have to look at how these studies are conducted, how the data is gathered, how the data is processed. Yada, yada, yada. Alright? I'm not going to go into all of the fucking problems that can happen with a fucking study. Most people already know this. But I want to trust science. But the thing is if there is a feminist group behind something, then it's going to be bias. Just like if there's an MRA group behind something, it's going to be bias. However, if you're talking about national statistics, where they just go, here's the fucking data, take what you want from it, well then, I'm going to go ahead and look at the data, and I'm going to let the data speak for itself. And my problem with what feminists have tried to do with that data, like with rape statistics, well, they're all like, oh yeah, women are always the victim of rape. But then when you go ahead and you look at male sexual assault from a female partner or from a female individual, it's not under the rape category. It's not under sexual assault category. You know what it's under? It's under other. They don't even classify it, even though it makes up a very, very significant proportion of crime. But hey, we should just man up and take it, right? Right up the ass. So when I'm talking about censorship, when I'm talking about trying to get rid of MGTOW, I am talking about them just outright denying. Them denying fact because they cannot sit there and stand to admit that MGTOW is right. They can't stand to admit that their narrative is falling the fuck apart in the face of actual data, of actual studies done by actual fucking scientists that aren't driven by an agenda. Is MGTOW driven by an agenda? Yes. The studies aren't. The reason why MGTOW is even a thing is because those studies came out and the people who really started off the MGTOW movement that we know today, we're looking at it going, well, that's kind of fucked up. And then you had a split. You had one group that split off to go into MRA. You know, they're all like, well, we need to fix this. Then you had another group that sat there and kept looking at the data before they made their decision. And they're all like, the deeper we go, the deeper we dig on this, the more data we get, the more history that we learn, the worse it fucking gets. And it's not showing any signs of reversing, and we can't see any way of moving forward that wouldn't require women making sacrifices. And as we know, throughout history, whenever women are asked to make a sacrifice, it's usually a small sacrifice with a massive guaranteed payout at the end. So fuck that noise. Because the amount of sacrifice that they would have to make now would mean that they would literally own men in the future. Fuck that. We're gone. We just won't take part in it anymore. Hence MGTOW. But now, you got MRAs, which, let's be honest, a lot of MRAs really are simps because they're still worshiping the golden pussy. You know? They still recognize the pussy pass. They recognize it as legitimate. Whereas MGTOWs look at the pussy pass and laugh. So, let's go ahead and just be completely honest here. Yes, MRAs are being silenced. Anyone who even gives the slightest iota of credence to MRAs is being silenced. Remember the woman that made the Red Pill movie? If you're unfamiliar with that, you may want to research it. Pretty interesting shit. But MGTOWs, on the other hand, oh, it's fully okay to go ahead and call MGTOWs anything you want to fucking call them. You don't have to try to play nice with them. People try to play nice with MRAs, for the most part, other than the most staunch of feminists. But the most staunch of feminists don't play nice with anyone, not even their own kind. You know, hell, even the less staunch feminists hate the staunchest of feminists. They look at them and go, what the fuck is wrong with you? But that comes with any extremist in any group, and MGTOW has those. I am actually, surprisingly, not an extremist in it. I try to stay as reasoned as possible. But also at the same time, sometimes you can't just come at something from a position of logic and reason. You also have to have some emotion behind it, or else you're not going to have any passion, you're not going to have any driving force. And I recognize that. Not to mention, I'm one of those guys, if I ever shut down my emotions completely, you think I'm a bastard now? Woo-hoo! Yeah, no. Trust me, you don't want me to shut down my emotion. I've shut down my emotion twice in my lifetime. Didn't end too well for anyone involved, including myself. But also at the same time, even when I'm emotional, I can typically go ahead and see logic and reason. At the very least, if someone brings it up after I'm done with my fucking rampage. But when it comes to silencing MGTOW, I'm not talking about YouTube in particular. I'm not talking about Twitter in particular. I'm not talking about Facebook in particular. I'm not talking about mainstream media in particular. I'm talking about all of it. And I'm talking about society in fucking general. There is a large stigma of around MGTOW that is just blatantly false. And even people who claim to be academic or part of the intellectual class get it wrong. Because they go off of stereotypes. You know, it's funny. SJWs say that they hate stereotypes. Stereotypes are racist. Stereotypes are sexist. Yet they constantly use stereotypes to try to take down their opponents. Well, what's the stereotype of a MGTOW? Oh, a 40-something that's been divorced twice, you know, is bitter towards women, and yada, yada, yada. Well, except for the fact that, from what I've seen, MGTOWs run the gambit, including all the way down into high school now, where they haven't even had a chance to get fucked over yet. But they've watched their male relatives, their older friends, brothers, fathers, uncles, men in the military. They watch them get fucked over. And as far as the men in the military thing, want to ask you something. Have you ever heard of a Dear Johnny? If you don't know what that is, go ahead and look it up. It's the thing any military man dreads. It's the reason why a lot of men that go into the military break up with their girlfriend. They sit there and go, yeah, no. Or they get married to a woman without any romantic aspect to it, and it's literally just a legal contract just so they can go ahead and get more money. Period. There's a massive fucking prenup in place and so on and so forth to protect their shit. But the thing is at what point do you recognize that women are fucking over men? And at that point, when do you say, all right, yeah, it's understandable that guys are saying, yeah, no thanks? Are guys a little more aggressive about, or some guys a little more aggressive about saying it? Yeah, of course. But if you're going to go ahead and use the excuse of, and I'm not saying you in particular are using this excuse, but if someone's going to go ahead and use the excuse that, oh, well, you know, these feminists have had negative experiences in the past with men, So that's why they hate men, so it's valid. Well, guess what? Men get screwed over a whole lot more than women. By women. So, let's just be completely honest here. Who here has the biggest right to bitch? Let's play the oppression Olympics. Let's get it on. Sure as fuck isn't women. Women don't even medal. They don't even get on the board. Because the thing is regardless of race, regardless of religious creed, it's always men that take it up the ass. Women are at the back end of the get fucked line. Period. End of story. Unless you're talking about nature and a period. Because, like I said, periods and childbirth. Those are the only things where I sit there and I look at women and I'm all like, yeah, you got the market cornered there. But that's because they're the only ones who have it. Kind of funny how, whether it be getting fucked over or getting awesome benefit, when it comes to nature, women are in front. But when it comes to social aspects, well then, then it's getting social benefit, women are out in front, and then they're on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to getting fucked. So, yeah. But people don't want you to say that. People don't want you to, force them to actually look at the situation and recognize this. And so then they sit there, they call you immature. They say you're not a real man. They say, whatever, whatnot. I mean, there's a bunch of insults. I'm not going to run through all of them. I'm not going to drive up my own fucking blood pressure. But I just wanted to go ahead, reply to your comment. And yeah, in fact, Dilligaff actually has a video on his channel. I don't know if he's posted it yet or not. He had it on, I believe it was actually a live stream, where he was talking about how a couple of guys were sitting there and bitching about him not dating a woman that he wasn't interested in. Saying that he should give them a chance. That he should give her a chance. That he should try to find the compatibility. So on and so forth. And it's all like, no! If he's not fucking interested, back the fuck off! Don't tell him where he has to stick his dick. Fuck you! You think this person's such a fucking catch? Go after them! Do it! Oh, wait. No, that person probably already turned them down. Fucking friend zone them. They're probably the plan B or plan C guys. She wants to go after Dilgaff because he's got his fucking shit together. Because he now has fucking resources at his disposal. And she sees that they aren't being tapped by a fucking woman. So she's all like, oh, I gotta get me some of that. And then all of a sudden he says no. And then she goes bitching and whining to her plan B and plan C. And her plan B and plan C are all like, oh, well, fuck me. That means she's gonna fuck us even harder. They're not actively thinking that. But it's one of those kind of subconscious things. Because I have to agree with them, the way that they were talking. Probably someone he knows. And probably someone who is at least friends with this other person that was being talked about. The woman. So, yeah. With the way that they were talking, I can see where he's all like, yeah, you probably fucking know me. Personally. And yet these guys took their time to go onto his YouTube channel and fucking waste his goddamn time. By trying to tell him who he has to fucking try to date. Yeah. See, there's more forms of censorship than just deleting someone's YouTube channel, deleting someone's Twitter, you know, any social media. There's more forms of censorship than that. You have the censorship of dismissal, where you just don't listen to the fucking person. Where you don't even allow them to fucking speak. You have the censorship of defamation, where you actively tell lies about a person to get other people to not listen, or even a group of people. I'm not going to run through the list of all the different types of ways to censor people. But go ahead and look up Hitler. That motherfucker was a master of censorship in his own country. And the thing is the reason why we call the modern wave of feminism feminazis is because they are using the exact same tactics that Hitler's Reich used. You know, at least they're learning from a master, right? The problem is just like their master, they claim to have the moral high ground, moral superiority, while doing the most atrocious of things. So yes, people are trying to censor MGTOW. It's just their tactics aren't working. Because the thing is go ahead and shame us all you want. Go ahead, use all the shaming language that you want. We'll go ahead, use it right on back. We'll use it more effectively. And we'll also have logic to back it up when you sit there and go, oh, you're fucking lying. But we'll go ahead, we'll back it up. And then we'll say, now, we're saying you're lying. And then you're going to be right on out in the cold. Because we've already proven, during the course of you calling us a liar, that we were right. And that what you're saying doesn't bear out in the statistics. So, I said there's a push to censor and get rid of MGTOW. I never said that push was going to be successful. Because you can push against a mountain all you want. But that mountain will remain. The only way to get rid of it is to violently detonate it or to let it blow itself up. And the thing is think about it. With the actions of feminists lately, with the actions of social justice warriors, which do you think is more likely? Do you think they're going to go ahead and try to let MGTOW just sit there and blow itself up? Or do you think they're going to violently go after it? Just like they do after every other fucking group.